Millionaire woman spent her birthday alone until a single dad and his daughter asked to join her. Before we dive in, whether you're having your morning coffee or winding down for the night, you're exactly where you need to be. The rain hammered against the windows of the Blue Moon Cafe like desperate fingers tapping for entry. Sophia Chen sat in the corner booth, her Hermes bag occupying the seat across from her like a silent dinner companion. 27 candles should have adorned a cake somewhere, surrounded by laughter and champagne toasts. Instead, a single vanilla cupcake sat before her, its lone candle flickering in the draft from the old heating system. "Happy birthday to me," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the symphony of rainfall and the soft jazz playing through aged speakers. The cafe was nearly empty at 7:43 p.m. on this miserable March evening, save for an elderly man reading a newspaper and the teenage barista who kept glancing at her phone. Sophia's reflection in the rain-streaked window showed a woman who had everything and nothing. CEO of Chen Technologies at 27, featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30, owner of a Manhattan penthouse and a garage full of cars she rarely drove. Yet here she sat, her Armani blazer perfectly pressed over a heart that felt wrinkled and worn. Her phone buzzed. Another email about the Tokyo merger. She flipped it face down, watching the candle wax drip onto the pristine white frosting. When had birthdays become just another day to work through? When had success become so suffocating? The cafe door burst open, bringing with it a gust of wind that sent napkins flying and the candle flame dancing wildly. A man stumbled in, water streaming from his weathered leather jacket, carrying a small girl in his arms. Her tiny form was wrapped in what looked like his own flannel shirt, her blonde curls plastered to her head despite his efforts to shield her. "I'm sorry, we're about to close," the barista called out, not looking up from her phone. "Please," the man's voice cracked with desperation. "Just until the rain stops. My daughter." Sophia looked at the pair. The man appeared to be in his mid-30s, with calloused hands that spoke of honest work and eyes that held a weariness beyond physical exhaustion. The little girl in his arms couldn't have been more than 7, her small face pale against his shoulder, breathing in labored little puffs that fogged the window nearby. "You can sit here," Sophia heard herself say, gesturing to the empty seats at her table. She didn't know why she'd spoken. Maybe it was the way the man held his daughter, like she was made of spun glass. Maybe it was the loneliness that had been gnawing at her all day. "There's plenty of room." The man's eyes met hers, surprise flickering across his features. He took in her designer clothes, the expensive bag, the solitary cupcake, and something in his expression softened. "Thank you, miss. I'm Marcus, this is Emma." He settled his daughter carefully in the booth, her small body seeming to disappear into the worn burgundy leather. Emma's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises the color of sea glass, startling in their clarity. She looked at Sophia, then at the cupcake with its still burning candle. "Is it your birthday?" Emma whispered, her voice like wind chimes. Sophia nodded, unable to speak past the sudden tightness in her throat. Emma struggled to sit up straighter, despite her father's gentle protests. "You're not supposed to be alone on your birthday. That's the rule." She paused, catching her breath, then continued with the seriousness only a child could muster. "The birthday rule says you need at least one friend to make a wish with." "Emma, honey, don't bother the nice lady," Marcus said softly, shrugging off his wet jacket and wrapping it around his daughter's shoulders for extra warmth. "It's no bother," Sophia found herself saying. When was the last time anyone had called her a nice lady instead of Ms. Chen or ma'am? "What happens if you break the birthday rule?" Emma's face scrunched up in concentration. "Your wish gets lost. It floats away like a balloon without a string, and it can't find its way back to come true." The profundity of childhood wisdom hit Sophia like a physical force. How many wishes had she let float away, too busy climbing ladders to hold on to their strings? "Would you—" Sophia hesitated, then pushed forward. "Would you help me make sure my wish doesn't get lost?" Emma's face lit up, though the effort seemed to cost her. Her breathing was still uneven, and Sophia noticed how Marcus kept glancing at his daughter's chest, counting the rises and falls. "We need to sing," Emma announced. "Daddy, we have to sing for—" She looked at Sophia expectantly. "Sophia," she supplied, surprising herself again. She never gave her first name to strangers. "For Miss Sophia," Emma continued. "Ready, Daddy?" Marcus looked embarrassed. "Emma, I don't think—" "Please." Emma's voice was small, but insistent. Marcus met Sophia's eyes, asking silent permission. She nodded, a smile tugging at her lips for the first time all day. Their rendition of Happy Birthday was quite possibly the worst and most wonderful version Sophia had ever heard. Marcus's voice was deep and slightly off-key, roughened by exhaustion. Emma's was breathy and soft, pausing every few words to catch her breath. But they sang with a sincerity that made Sophia's eyes burn with unshed tears. "Now make a wish," Emma instructed when they finished. "But don't tell anyone or it won't come true, that's another rule." Sophia closed her eyes, for once not thinking about quarterly reports or market projections. She thought about the weight of success that felt like drowning, about empty penthouses and full bank accounts that couldn't purchase what she'd just been given freely by strangers in a rain-soaked cafe. "I wish I knew what actually matters," she thought, and blew out the candle. The smoke curled up between them, and Emma clapped softly, then immediately started coughing. It wasn't a normal cough. It was deep and rattling, shaking her small frame. Marcus immediately pulled her close, rubbing her back in practiced circles, whispering soothing words. "Is she all right?" Sophia asked, alarmed. Marcus's jaw tightened. "She will be," he said, but his eyes betrayed him. "Emma has a heart condition. The rain and cold don't help, but we had to get to the pharmacy before it closed. Her medication." He trailed off, and Sophia saw his hand move unconsciously to his wallet. A gesture she recognized, the mental calculation of costs versus necessities. "The pharmacy on Fifth Avenue?" Sophia asked. "That closed an hour ago." Marcus's face fell. "The one on Third? Closes at 7 on Sundays." The defeat in his shoulders was palpable. Emma had stopped coughing but was now shivering despite the layers. Sophia watched this father mentally cycling through options, each one failing before the thought could fully form. "There's a 24-hour pharmacy about 12 blocks north," Sophia offered. "I could—" She gestured vaguely at the rain. "We couldn't ask you to do that," Marcus said quickly. "You don't even know us." "You're right," Sophia agreed. "I don't. But Emma made sure my birthday wish didn't float away. That's not nothing." Emma, who had been quiet, suddenly reached out and touched Sophia's hand. Her fingers were cold and felt as delicate as bird bones. "You have sad eyes," she said simply. "Like Daddy when he thinks I'm sleeping." Marcus made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob, gathering his daughter closer. "Emma has a way of seeing right through people," he said apologetically. "Maybe that's what the world needs," Sophia replied, studying the little girl who had diagnosed her loneliness with the accuracy of a surgeon. "More people who see clearly." She made a decision then, one that had nothing to do with logic or business sense. "Look, my car's just outside. Let me drive you to the pharmacy. It's pouring, and Emma needs her medication." Marcus opened his mouth to protest again, but Emma tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, the birthday rule also says if someone offers help on their birthday, you have to accept it. Otherwise, their kindness goes to waste." "Since when are there so many birthday rules?" Marcus asked, but his voice was fond. "Since always," Emma replied with complete certainty. The Mercedes S-Class idled outside the pharmacy, its heated seats a stark contrast to the cold March rain that had soaked them just minutes before. Sophia watched through the rain-blurred windshield as Marcus stood at the pharmacy counter inside, his shoulders tense as he gestured between the prescription and his wallet. Even from here, she could see the negotiation happening, the universal dance of those who had to choose between necessities. Emma sat in the back seat, wrapped in the cashmere throw Sophia kept in the car. The little girl was studying the interior with wide eyes, her small fingers tracing the wood grain trim with reverence. "Is this your house?" Emma asked suddenly. Sophia turned, confused. "My house?" "It's bigger than our apartment," Emma explained matter-of-factly. And it smells like new. Everything in our home smells like old except for Daddy's coffee in the morning. The innocent observation hit Sophia unexpectedly. She remembered her own childhood, the small apartment above her grandmother's restaurant, how she'd dreamed of cars like this one. Success was supposed to erase those memories, but they clung to her like smoke. "Do you live with just your daddy?" Sophia asked gently. Emma nodded, then added, "Mommy went to heaven when I was 4. She had a sick heart too, but hers couldn't be fixed. Daddy says mine can be, but it needs a special operation that costs more than all the stars in the sky." "All the stars?" 500,000 stars, Emma clarified solemnly. "I heard him talking to the doctor. That's more than anyone can count, isn't it?" Sophia's throat constricted. $500,000. She spent more than that on last quarter's marketing campaign without blinking. Through the pharmacy window, she saw Marcus's head drop. The pharmacist was shaking his head, pushing the prescription back across the counter. Marcus's hand went to his pocket, pulling out what looked like a small collection of crumpled bills. "Wait here, sweetheart," Sophia said to Emma, already pushing open her door. "Where are you going?" Emma asked. "To help your daddy catch some stars." The pharmacy's fluorescent lights were harsh after the soft interior of her car. Marcus was still at the counter, now speaking in low, urgent tones to the pharmacist, a middle-aged man whose expression balanced between sympathy and policy. "Understand your situation, sir, but without insurance approval or payment, I can't—" "Excuse me?" Sophia interrupted smoothly, stepping beside Marcus. "Is there a problem?" Marcus's face flushed. "Sophia, please, you don't need to—" "The prescription is $847, the pharmacist explained. "And unfortunately, Mr. Thompson's insurance has hit its coverage limit for the month." "His daughter has a heart condition," Sophia said, her CEO voice emerging unconsciously. "She needs this medication." "I sympathize truly, but—" Sophia pulled out her American Express black card and placed it on the counter with a definitive click. "Ring it up, and while you're at it, what's the cost for a 3-month supply?" "Sophia." "No." Marcus grabbed her wrist, his calloused hand warm against her skin. "I can't let you do this, we're strangers." She looked at him then, really looked at him, saw the pride warring with desperation in his storm-gray eyes, the way his jaw clenched with the effort of holding himself together. This was a man who worked with his hands, who'd probably never asked for charity in his life. "Your daughter made sure my birthday wish didn't float away," Sophia said quietly. "Let me return the favor." That's completely different." "Is it?" she challenged. "She gave me something I needed. Let me do the same." The pharmacist cleared his throat. "The 3-month supply would be $25.41. "Ma'am." Marcus made a strangled sound, but Sophia simply nodded. "Add it to the card. And please put a note in the system that all of Emma Thompson's prescriptions should be billed to this card going forward." "Absolutely not," Marcus said firmly, but his protest lacked heat. She could see him calculating what 3 months of medication meant, 3 months of not choosing between Emma's medicine and rent. The pharmacist processed the payment efficiently, suddenly much more accommodating. As he prepared the medication, Sophia felt Marcus's eyes on her. "Why?" he asked simply. She thought about lying, about giving him some sanitized version of charity or tax write-offs. But Emma's comment about sad eyes echoed in her mind. "Because I have more money than I know what to do with," she admitted. "Because I ate dinner alone on my birthday in a cafe. Because your daughter looked at me and saw the truth. That success means nothing if you're empty inside." Marcus studied her for a long moment. "You're not what I expected from someone who drives a car worth more than I'll make in 5 years." "What did you expect?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But not kindness. Not someone who'd stop their birthday to help strangers in the rain." The pharmacist returned with a white bag that seemed too small to cost so much. Marcus took it like it contained gold, which Sophia supposed it did. Emma's life measured out in pills and possibility. They walked back to the car in silence, the rain having softened to a gentle mist. Emma was where they'd left her, but now she was drawing on a napkin she'd found, using a pen from Sophia's console. "Look," she exclaimed as they got in. "I made you a birthday card." The drawing was simple, 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. But it was the words underneath, written in careful, shaky letters that made Sophia's eyes water. "Happy birthday to the nice lady with sad eyes. Now we are friends." "It's beautiful," Sophia managed. "Daddy, show her," Emma said excitedly. "Show her your drawings." Marcus looked embarrassed. "Emma, Daddy draws buildings," Emma explained to Sophia. "Not like kid drawings, real ones that could be built if anyone would listen. He goes to night school when Mrs. Rodriguez can watch me. He's going to be an architect." She pronounced the word carefully like it was precious. "You're studying architecture?" Sophia asked. Surprised, Marcus shrugged, the gesture meant to minimize. "When I can. It's slow going when you're working full-time and—" He gestured vaguely at their situation. "He's really good," Emma insisted. "He designed a whole hospital just for kids with sick hearts. It has windows shaped like hearts and a garden on the roof where families can go to feel better." "Emma, that's just dreaming." "Dreams are important," Sophia interrupted, thinking of her own dreams that had calcified into ambitions, then hardened into hollow achievements. Sometimes they're all we have. She started the car, then hesitated. "Where am I taking you?" Marcus gave an address in Queens that Sophia recognized as one of the rougher neighborhoods. At least an hour's drive in this weather. Emma would be exposed to the cold again getting from the car to their building. "Actually," Sophia said, making another decision that had nothing to do with logic, "I know a place closer where Emma can rest and get warm. My apartment is just 10 minutes away. You could give her the medication, let her recover from the cold." "Sophia," Marcus's voice held a warning, "you've done enough. More than enough." "Have I?" She glanced in the rearview mirror at Emma, who was fighting to keep her eyes open. "Because from where I'm sitting, I've done the bare minimum of human decency. And frankly, it's the most human I've felt in years." Emma made a small sound from the back seat. "Daddy, I'm cold again." That decided it. Marcus nodded once, sharply, and Sophia pulled into traffic. The rain had picked up again, turning the city into an impressionist painting of blurred lights and reflected neon. In the back seat, Emma curled against the window, her breath fogging the glass in little puffs that reminded Sophia of counting breaths, of the fragility of life measured in inhales and exhales. "Tell me about the hospital," Sophia said to Marcus, needing to fill the silence. "The one you designed." His face transformed when he talked about it, losing years of worry. "It's probably stupid, but I thought, kids in hospitals are scared, right? So what if the building itself could be part of the healing? Natural light in every room, play areas on each floor that don't feel medical, rooms for families to stay without feeling like they're camping in a corner." He talked with his hands, painting invisible blueprints in the air, and Sophia found herself captivated. When was the last time she'd heard someone talk about their work with actual passion instead of profit margins? "It's not stupid," she said when he finished. "It's necessary. The current children's hospital is a concrete box that feels like punishment for being sick. You know it?" She knew it too well. Had spent weeks there as a child when her grandmother was dying. Remembered the industrial halls and the smell of disinfectant that never quite masked the scent of grief. "I've been there," she said simply. They drove in comfortable silence after that, the city flowing past like a river of light. It wasn't until they pulled into the underground garage of her building that Marcus spoke again. "Sophia, I need you to understand something. I'm grateful. God, I'm so grateful, but I'm going to pay you back. Every penny." "Marcus." "No," he said firmly. "I need to. Emma and we're not a charity case. We're just having a hard time right now. But I work. I'm a mechanic at Conway's Automotive in Queens. I'm good at what I do. I can pay you back in installments, maybe." "Okay," Sophia interrupted, recognizing the pride that would make anything else impossible. "Okay, we'll work something out." She knew she'd never cash any check he wrote, but that was a problem for another day. Right now, there was a sick little girl who needed warmth and medicine, and everything else could wait. Sophia's penthouse occupied the entire 40th floor, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Manhattan that looked like scattered diamonds against black velvet. Emma gasped audibly when they stepped off the private elevator, her tired eyes suddenly bright with wonder. "Daddy, look," she whispered, tugging on Marcus's hand. "We're in the clouds." Indeed, wisps of fog drifted past the windows, giving the illusion they were floating above the city. The apartment itself was a study in modern minimalism: white marble floors, abstract art, furniture that looked more like sculptures than things meant for sitting. "It's big," Marcus said carefully, clearly overwhelmed. "Too big," Sophia admitted, seeing her space through their eyes. 12,000 square feet for one person. The living room alone could fit their entire Queens apartment several times over. "I bought it to impress people I don't even like." Emma had drifted to the windows, pressing her small hands against the glass. "Are those the stars Daddy needs to catch?" she asked, pointing at the city lights. "Different kind of stars, baby," Marcus said softly. Sophia watched them, father and daughter silhouetted against the glittering cityscape, and felt something shift in her chest. Her apartment had hosted senators and celebrities, power brokers, and tech moguls, but none of them had ever made it feel less empty than this bedraggled pair. "Let's get Emma her medicine," she said, leading them to the kitchen. Like everything else in the apartment, it was state-of-the-art and barely used. Marcus carefully measured out Emma's dose while Sophia found a juice box in her sub-zero refrigerator, a remnant from her assistant's child visiting last month. Emma took her pills without complaint, then yawned so widely Sophia could count her baby teeth. "There's a guest room," Sophia offered. "She could lie down while we wait for the rain to stop." Marcus hesitated, clearly torn between his daughter's needs and the strangeness of the situation. Emma decided for him, swaying on her feet. The guest room was like everything else, impersonal, but luxurious. Emma crawled onto the king-sized bed and practically disappeared into the Egyptian cotton sheets. Marcus sat beside her, smoothing her damp curls. "Story?" Emma mumbled. "Not tonight, Em. You need to rest." "Please, Daddy. The one about the princess who builds things." Marcus glanced at Sophia, embarrassed. "It's just something I made up. About a princess who decides castles are boring and learns to build bridges instead." "Tell it," Sophia found herself saying, curling into the chair by the window. "Please." So Marcus began, his voice soft and measured. The princess in his story was brave and curious, more interested in understanding how things worked than in wearing crowns. She learned that bridges weren't just about connecting land, they were about connecting people, bringing together those who thought they were too different to ever meet. By the time the princess had built her third bridge, this one made of glass so people could see the fish swimming below, Emma was fast asleep, her breathing finally steady and deep. Marcus kissed her forehead, then carefully extracted himself from the bed. He and Sophia retreated to the living room, leaving the door cracked so they could hear if Emma needed anything. "Thank you," Marcus said simply, collapsing onto the couch with the exhaustion of someone who'd been holding himself together by will alone. "Stop thanking me," Sophia said, pouring 2 glasses of wine without asking. "Tell me about Emma's condition instead. You said it can be fixed?" Marcus accepted the wine but didn't drink, just held the glass like an anchor. "Hypoplastic left heart syndrome. She was born with it. Essentially, the left side of her heart is underdeveloped. She's had 2 surgeries already, but she needs the 3rd stage. The Fontan procedure. Without it," he didn't finish. "And it costs $500,000? That's just the surgery. With the hospital stay, the recovery, the anti-rejection medications, if they have to do a transplant eventually." He laughed bitterly. "Might as well be $5 million. My insurance hit its lifetime maximum after her 2nd surgery. I've applied for every program, every charity, but we're stuck in this middle ground. I make too much to qualify for most aid, but not enough to even make a dent in the cost." "What about Emma's mother's family?" Marcus's face closed off. "Not in the picture. They blamed me for Sarah's death. Said if I'd had better insurance, gotten her to better doctors." He shook his head. "Maybe they're right." "They're not," Sophia said firmly. "Trust me, I've learned that money doesn't prevent loss. It just gives you more expensive ways to fail. He looked at her curiously. You sound like you're speaking from experience. She was. Her grandmother had died in the best hospital money could buy, surrounded by the best doctors her newfound success could afford. It hadn't mattered. Cancer didn't care about bank balances. We all have our ghosts, she said instead. Tell me about your architecture dreams. When do you graduate? If I can keep up with classes. 2 more years. But lately, with Emma getting sicker and the extra shifts at the garage. He shrugged. Dreams are a luxury I can't afford right now. What if they weren't? He finally took a sip of wine. What do you mean? Sophia's mind was already working, seeing possibilities like she saw market opportunities. I mean, what if you had the surgery covered? What if you could focus on school instead of working yourself to death? Sophia, stop. His voice was sharp. You can't. I won't let you. I'm not offering charity, she interrupted. I'm talking about an investment. In what? In someone who designs hospitals that heal with light. In a father who tells stories about princesses who build bridges in... She gestured vaguely at the sterile perfection of her apartment. In something real. Marcus set down his wine glass and stood abruptly. I should check on Emma. Marcus, you don't know us, he said, not turning around. You don't know me. I could be anyone. I could be scamming you. Are you? He turned then, and his eyes were bright with unshed tears. No, but that's not the point. People like you don't just help people like me. There's always a catch. Maybe the catch is that I need this more than you do, Sophia said quietly. Maybe the catch is that I've spent so long building walls that I've forgotten what bridges look like. They stared at each other across the expensive distance of her living room. Outside, the storm had picked up again, rain lashing against the windows like it was trying to get in. I can't, Marcus said finally. I appreciate everything you've done tonight, but I can't let you pay for Emma's surgery. It's too much. Then don't let me pay for it, Sophia said, an idea forming. Work for it. What? Chen Technologies just bought a plot of land in Brooklyn. We're supposed to build another office building. Another glass box for coding. But what if we built something else? What if we built your hospital? Marcus laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You're serious? You want to hire a mechanic with 2 years left in night school to design a hospital? I want to hire someone with vision, Sophia corrected. Someone who understands what it means to need healing. The degree is just paper. The vision, that's what matters. This is insane. Probably, she agreed. But when was the last time sanity led to anything worthwhile? Before Marcus could respond, a small voice called from the guest room. Daddy? He was moving before the second syllable. Sophia closed behind. Emma was sitting up in bed, her face flushed and confused. Hey, baby, Marcus soothed, feeling her forehead. Bad dream? I couldn't find you, Emma said, then noticed Sophia. Oh, we're still at the Cloud House. Cloud House, Sophia repeated, charmed despite herself. I like that better than Penthouse. Emma studied her with those 2 wise eyes. Your house is pretty, but it's lonely. Houses need families or they get sad. Emma, Marcus warned gently. It's okay, Sophia said, sitting on the edge of the bed. She's right. It is lonely. You could get a dog, Emma suggested. Or a cat, or a family. Emma, that's not how... I had a family once, Sophia interrupted, surprising herself. My grandmother. She raised me after my parents died. Where is she now? Emma asked with the directness of children. She died when I was 22, right before I started my company. Emma reached out and took Sophia's hand, her small fingers impossibly warm. Is that why you have sad eyes? Because you miss her? Sophia couldn't speak past the lump in her throat, so she just nodded. I miss my mommy too, Emma said simply. But Daddy says the people we love leave pieces of themselves in our hearts, so they're never really gone. Maybe your grandma left you the piece that knows how to help people. Marcus made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Where did you get so wise, Em? From you, Daddy, Emma said matter-of-factly, then yawned again. Can I have some water? Marcus started to get up, but Sophia was already moving. "I'll get it." She fled to the kitchen, needing a moment to compose herself. A 7-year-old had just dismantled her carefully constructed emotional walls with the precision of a surgeon. Or maybe the walls had been crumbling all night, from the moment Emma declared that birthday wishes needed friends to survive. When she returned with the water, Marcus was tucking Emma back in. The little girl drank carefully, then settled against the pillows. "Will you be here when I wake up?" she asked Sophia. Sophia glanced at Marcus, who looked as lost as she felt. "I live here, so yes." "Good," Emma murmured, already drifting off. "The Cloud House needs us." They retreated to the living room again, both shaken by the interaction. The wine sat untouched, the storm continued its assault on the windows, and somewhere between them hung the weight of unfinished conversations. "She's extraordinary," Sophia said finally. "She's dying," Marcus replied bluntly. "Without that surgery, I'm going to lose her. And she's so accepting of it, like she knows she's on borrowed time and wants to make sure everyone else is okay before she goes." "She's not going anywhere," Sophia said fiercely. "We're going to make sure of that." "We?" Marcus looked at her. "There's no we, Sophia. There's a little girl who needs help and a father who can't provide it and a stranger who— "Who what?" Sophia challenged. "Who wants to help? Who has the means to help? Who maybe needs to help as much as you need the help? This isn't a business deal." "No," Sophia agreed. "It's not. It's messier than that. It's complicated and probably inappropriate and definitely not something either of us planned. But Emma's right. Bridges connect people who think they're too different to meet. So maybe we try to build one." Marcus was quiet for a long time, staring at the rain-washed city beyond the windows. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. "If we do this, and I'm not saying yes, but if we do, there have to be rules, boundaries. This can't be about anything except Emma." "Agreed," Sophia said, even as something in her chest protested that it was already about so much more. "And I work for whatever you pay. Real work. Not charity disguised as employment. I wouldn't insult you with anything less. And Emma, she can't know. Not about the arrangement. She'll think what she already thinks," Sophia finished. "That we're friends. That helping friends is what people do." Marcus laughed. Short and sharp. "When you put it like that, it sounds almost simple." "Maybe it is," Sophia said, raising her forgotten wine glass. "Maybe we're the ones making it complicated." They didn't toast. It didn't seem right. But they drank. And outside the storm began to break. And in the guest room a little girl slept peacefully, dreaming perhaps of bridges made of light and cloud houses that weren't lonely anymore. Later, Sophia would wonder what she'd set in motion with her impulsive offers. Later, Marcus would question the wisdom of accepting help from a stranger, no matter how genuine she seemed. But right now, in this moment suspended between one life and another, they simply sat in comfortable silence, two people brought together by chance and rain and a little girl who saw the world more clearly than either of them. "Thank you," Marcus said again, and this time Sophia didn't tell him to stop, because some things deserved gratitude even if they were just beginning. 3 weeks had passed since that rainy March night, and Sophia's penthouse had undergone a subtle transformation. A box of crayons sat on the Italian marble coffee table. Children's books were scattered on the designer sofa. A drawing of 3 figures under a rainbow was held to the Sub-Zero refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a heart. Marcus arrived every evening after his shift at the garage, architectural books under one arm and Emma's hand in the other. What had started as an arrangement, he would work on preliminary designs for the Brooklyn project while Emma rested in a warm, safe space, had evolved into something else entirely. "Miss Sophia," Emma called out as they exited the private elevator. She no longer waited for permission, just ran straight into Sophia's arms. "Look what I made at school today." Sophia caught the little girl, marveling at how natural it had become. 3 weeks ago, she'd never held a child. Now, Emma's weight in her arms felt like coming home. "What did you create today, architect?" That was their joke. If Daddy was going to be an architect, then Emma was one too. Emma produced a construction paper house with windows cut at odd angles and a garden drawn on the roof. It's the hospital Daddy's designing. See? This window is shaped like a heart for kids like me, and this one's a star for kids who like space, and this one's a butterfly for kids who want to fly away from being sick. Sophia's throat tightened. She glanced at Marcus, who was watching them with an unreadable expression. It's perfect, she told Emma. Maybe we should frame it and put it in the real hospital when it's built. Really? Emma's eyes went wide. You'd put my art in a real building? The best buildings have art, Sophia said seriously. Ask your dad. Marcus cleared his throat. Em, why don't you go wash up? Mrs. Chen left some soup on the stove. Mrs. Chen was Sophia's housekeeper, who had taken to Emma like a grandmother. She'd started making child-friendly meals without being asked, muttering in Mandarin about too skinny, both of them too skinny. Emma skipped off, leaving Sophia and Marcus alone. The air between them crackled with unspoken things. The preliminary designs are ready, Marcus said, hefting his portfolio. I know you wanted to see them before the board meeting tomorrow. The board meeting I'm lying to them about, Sophia corrected. They think I hired Thornton Associates. You could still hire them, it would be easier. Easier isn't better, Sophia interrupted. Show me what you've got. They spread the designs across the dining table. Marcus had been working every free moment, and it showed. The building he'd designed wasn't just functional, it was revolutionary. Every line served a purpose. Every space considered the emotional journey of sick children and worried families. This atrium, he explained, pointing to the central space, it's designed to capture light at every hour. Kids in hospitals lose track of day and night. This keeps them connected to the rhythm of the world. And these? Sophia traced the unusual room configurations. Family suites, not just a cot in the corner, but actual space for parents to stay, to work, to feel human while their child heals. And here, he flipped to another page. Play therapy rooms on every floor, designed to not feel medical. Kids can just be kids. His passion was infectious. Sophia found herself leaning closer, ostensibly to see the details, but really just to be near him. He smelled like motor oil and pencil shavings, an oddly comforting combination. It's brilliant, she said softly. Marcus, it's everything a children's hospital should be. It's a dream, he corrected, but she could see the hope in his eyes. Making it real is another thing entirely. Then let's make it real. Their eyes met across the blueprints, and something shifted. 3 weeks of careful boundaries suddenly felt paper-thin. Sophia could see the question in his storm-gray eyes, the same one that had been building in her chest. Daddy! Miss Sophia, come quick! Emma's voice shattered the moment. They rushed to the living room to find her standing at the window, pointing excitedly. Look, a rainbow right here in the cloud house. Indeed, the setting sun had broken through the rain clouds, creating a perfect rainbow that seemed to end right at their window. Emma pressed her face to the glass, wonder radiating from every inch of her small body. You know what this means? She asked, turning to them with absolute certainty. It means something good is about to happen. Rainbows are promises. Marcus lifted her up so she could see better. Promises of what, Em? Of good things after storms, Emma said simply. Mrs. Rodriguez told me that. She said that's why I shouldn't be scared of the rain. Because rainbows come after. Sophia watched them, father and daughter silhouetted against the rainbow, and felt that now familiar ache in her chest. 3 weeks, and they'd rewired her entire existence. Her assistant had commented just yesterday that she seemed different. Happier, Diana had said. Diana. Then added carefully, more human. I should tell you something, Marcus said suddenly, still holding Emma but looking at Sophia. We saw Dr. Patel yesterday. Sophia's heart clenched. These medical visits always brought a mix of hope and terror. And? Emma's been approved for the surgery wait list. If we can prove we have the funds, she could have the operation as soon as next month. Next month? Emma bounced in her father's arms. That's really soon. Will I be better by summer? Can we go to the beach? We'll see, baby, Marcus said carefully. There's still a lot to figure out. But his eyes were on Sophia, asking questions he couldn't voice in front of his daughter. We'll figure it out, Sophia said firmly. All of it. Emma squirmed down and ran to Sophia, taking her hand. You'll be there, right? When I have my surgery, you're family now. The word hit Sophia like a physical blow. Family. This little girl had decided, with the decisive clarity of childhood, that Sophia belonged to them now. Emma, Marcus started, his voice warning. What? Emma looked between them, confused. She is. She eats dinner with us and helps with my homework and knows all our stories now. That's what family does. She's right, Sophia said quietly, squeezing Emma's hand. If you'll have me, I'll be there. Emma beamed, then coughed. It was lighter than before. The medication was helping, but still a reminder of why they were all here. Medicine time, Marcus said, grateful for the distraction. You know the drill. As Emma took her pills, Sophia's phone buzzed. The board meeting tomorrow. The lies she'd have to tell. The careful corporate life she'd built that was cracking under the weight of these two people who'd crashed into her world. I should go over the presentation, Marcus said once Emma was settled with her books. Make sure I understand all the technical aspects they might ask about. You're not going to the meeting, Sophia said. It would raise too many questions. Then how will you? I'll present your designs as if they were from Thornton. Once the board approves the concept, we'll handle the details. Marcus's jaw tightened. So I hide in the shadows while you take the risk? You take care of Emma while I handle the corporate politics. Division of labor. I don't like it. You don't have to like it, Sophia said gently. You just have to trust me. The word hung between them. Trust. 3 weeks of shared dinners and homework help and quiet conversations after Emma fell asleep. 3 weeks of careful boundaries slowly dissolving. 3 weeks of pretending this was just business when they both knew it had become something else entirely. The appointment with legal is next week, Sophia continued, keeping her voice businesslike. To formalize the employment contract, the salary I'm proposing should cover— Don't, Marcus interrupted. Don't talk about money right now. Not when Emma just called you family. Not when you're about to lie to your board for us. Just don't. They stood facing each other across the kitchen island. Two people caught between worlds. The mechanic and the CEO. The father desperate to save his daughter and the woman desperate to save herself. The boundaries they'd set were crumbling and neither seemed able to stop it. Daddy? Emma appeared in the doorway, book in hand. Can you and Miss Sophia both read to me tonight? The story's better when you take turns doing the voices. I should go, Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. Please stay, Emma said, then looked at Sophia. Both of you. The house is happier when we're all here. Out of the mouths of babes, Sophia thought. The house was happier. She was happier. Everything was brighter, warmer, more alive since they'd arrived. One story, Marcus conceded. Then home. You have school tomorrow. They settled on the couch, Emma between them, the book spread across their laps. It was a story about a brave rabbit who had to climb a mountain to find medicine for his sick friend. Sophia had bought it, not realizing how closely it would mirror their own situation. As they read, taking turns with the voices as requested, Sophia was acutely aware of how right this felt. Emma's small body warmed between them, Marcus's deep voice bringing the father rabbit to life, the rain pattering gently against the windows. Her penthouse, her cloud house, finally felt like a home. The brave rabbit knew the mountain was very tall, Marcus read, but he also knew that some things are worth any climb. Like friendship, Emma murmured sleepily, and love, and family. Sophia caught Marcus's eye over Emma's head. He looked as lost as she felt, as aware of what was happening between them, as helpless to stop it. And family, Sophia agreed softly, reading the next line. So the rabbit took another step, and another, believing that the top of the mountain held not just medicine, but hope. By the time they finished the story, Emma was fast asleep. her head on Sophia's shoulder, her feet in Marcus's lap. Neither adult moved, unwilling to break the spell. "We should talk," Marcus whispered finally, "about what's happening here. I know. This isn't what we agreed to. I know. Emma's getting attached. Hell, I'm getting—" He stopped himself. "I know," Sophia said again. Because what else was there to say? That she was getting attached too? That 3 weeks of their presence had made her previous life seem like a shadow existence? That she'd started timing her days around their arrival? That her apartment felt empty when they left? "After the surgery," Marcus said finally. "After Emma's safe and the hospital project is underway, then we'll figure out what this is." "After," Sophia agreed, though they both knew they were lying. It was already too late for after. They'd crossed that line somewhere between birthday candles and rainbow promises. Marcus carefully lifted Emma, cradling her against his chest. She stirred slightly, murmuring something about cloud houses and bridges, then settled back into sleep. "Thank you," he said to Sophia. And she knew he wasn't just talking about tonight. "Don't," she said softly. "That's what family does, right?" His smile was sad and beautiful. "Yeah, that's what family does." After they left, Sophia stood at the window where Emma had seen the rainbow. The city sprawled below, millions of lights and lives. But for the first time in years, she didn't feel separate from it all. She felt connected by a little girl's drawings on her refrigerator, by architectural plans spread across her table, by the lingering warmth of a sleeping child, and the echo of a father's voice. Tomorrow she would lie to her board, too. Next week she would sign papers that tangled her life with theirs even further. Next month, if all went well, she would sit in a hospital waiting room while surgeons repaired Emma's heart. But tonight, she simply stood at the window and remembered what it felt like to be part of something bigger than success. Bigger than money, bigger than the walls she'd built around herself. "Rainbows are promises," Emma had said. Standing there in her cloud house, Sophia was beginning to believe her. The morning of the board meeting dawned gray and ominous, matching Sophia's mood perfectly. She stood in her walk-in closet, selecting armor, a sharp black Armani suit that screamed authority, Louboutin heels that added unnecessary inches to her height, the diamond earrings her grandmother had left her for courage. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Emma made you a good luck charm. Can I drop it off before your meeting?" She should say no. Should maintain the boundaries they'd already shattered. Instead, she typed, "Side entrance, 20 minutes." When she met him in the lobby, Marcus looked exhausted. His coveralls had fresh oil stains, and there were circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. "Rough shift?" she asked. "Emma had a bad night. Chest pains. I almost took her to the ER, but they subsided around 4. He handed her a small paper package. "She insisted on making this for you. Said you needed rainbow power for your big meeting." Sophia unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a rainbow pin made of pipe cleaners and construction paper. Crooked and beautiful and absolutely perfect. "She's worried about you," Marcus said softly. "Kept saying Miss Sophia has to convince the grumpy board people to build the heart hospital." "She knows about the board meeting?" "Kids hear everything. She may be sick, but she's sharp as a tack." He paused, studying her face. "You don't have to do this. We can find another way." "There is no other way," Sophia interrupted. "Not in time. The surgery window is narrowing, and the hospital needs to break ground by summer to meet the state funding requirements." "Sophia, I'm doing this," she said firmly, pinning Emma's rainbow to the inside of her jacket where the board couldn't see it. "For her. For all the kids who need what your hospital can give them." Marcus caught her hand as she turned to go. "For them?" he asked quietly. "Or for us?" The question hung between them, unanswered and unanswerable. Because the truth was too complicated for the sterile lobby of Chen Technologies, too dangerous for two people trying to save a child's life. "I have to go," Sophia said instead of answering. "The board meets in an hour." "Knock 'em dead, CEO," Marcus said, attempting lightness. "And Sophia? Whatever happens, Emma and I, we're grateful. For everything. She squeezed his hand once, then let go. Tell Emma her rainbow pin is perfect. Tell her I'll wear it all day. The boardroom of Chen Technologies occupied the top floor, all glass and chrome and intimidation. 12 seats around a table that cost more than most people's cars, filled with men and women who measured worth in market caps and profit margins. Sophia, Richard Chen, her co-founder and biggest skeptic, greeted her with his shark smile. Ready to wow us with Thornton's designs? She thought of Marcus's calloused hands sketching dreams, of Emma's windows shaped like butterflies. Absolutely. The presentation started smoothly. She spoke of market need, of the positive PR for Chen Technologies, of the tax incentives for medical infrastructure. The board nodded at appropriate intervals, seeing dollars and cents. Then she unveiled the designs. The room went silent. This is Margaret Wu. The CFO leaned forward. This isn't Thornton's usual style. They took a new approach, Sophia lied smoothly. Hired a young architect with fresh ideas. It's incredible, breathed Dr. James Liu, the only board member with a medical background. Look at these family suites, the therapy integration. This isn't just a hospital, it's a healing space. It's expensive, Richard countered. These materials, the natural light requirements, the square footage per patient, we could build a standard facility for half the cost. And it would be just another box where sick kids feel sicker, Sophia said, her CEO mask slipping. This design understands something we've forgotten. That environment impacts outcome. That hope needs space to grow. Since when do you care about hope? Richard asked, eyes narrowing. Last quarter you cut our charitable giving by 30%. Since I realized that profit without purpose is just greed with better PR. The words hung in the air like a challenge. This wasn't how Sophia Chen talked. This wasn't the cold, calculating CEO they'd come to expect. What's really going on here? Richard asked. This passionate speech, this sudden interest in pediatric architecture. What aren't you telling us? For a moment, Sophia considered the truth, that a mechanic designed these plans at her dining room table while his dying daughter colored pictures of rainbow windows. That she'd fallen in love with both of them somewhere between shared dinners and bedtime stories. That this hospital wasn't about tax breaks or PR. It was about saving the little girl who'd saved her. Instead, she straightened her spine and became the CEO they expected. What's going on? She said coldly. Is an opportunity to build something that matters. Chen Technologies has the chance to create a new model for pediatric care, one that could be replicated nationally. The positive press alone will boost our stock price. The government contracts that follow will triple our healthcare portfolio. If you can't see the vision, perhaps you're in the wrong boardroom. It was a calculated risk, challenging them like that. But she knew her board. They responded to strength, not sentiment. Show us the numbers again, Margaret said after a tense pause. The real numbers, not the PR spin. For the next hour, Sophia fielded questions with the skill of someone who'd built an empire from nothing. She parried concerns about cost overruns, pivoted doubts about timeline into discussions of phased construction. She was brilliant and cold, and everything they expected. All the while, Emma's rainbow pin pressed against her ribs, a secret talisman. Call the vote, she said finally when she'd answered every objection twice. It was close. Closer than it should have been for a CEO with her track record. But in the end, the vision, Marcus's vision, won. Congratulations, Richard said as the others filed out. You've got your hospital. But Sophia? Whatever game you're playing, be careful. The board's patience isn't infinite. Even for you. After he left, Sophia stood alone in the boardroom looking out at the city below. She'd done it. The hospital would be built. Emma would have her surgery funded through the architect's generous salary. Everything was falling into place. So why did she feel like she was standing on the edge of a cliff? Her phone buzzed. A text from Emma sent from Marcus's phone. Daddy says you won. The heart hospital is real. Also, I love you. Also, can we have celebration pizza tonight? Then one from Marcus. Sorry, she grabbed my phone. But she's right about the pizza. And the other thing. Sophia stared at the texts, her carefully constructed CEO facade crumbling. The other thing, love. A 7-year-old's honest heart cutting through all their careful boundaries. Yes to pizza, she typed back. And tell Emma I love her too. She hesitated before sending it, knowing she was crossing another line. But what was one more? She'd already lied to her board, risked her company's reputation, fallen in love with 2 people she had no business loving. The response came quickly. She's crying happy tears. So is her dad. Sophia touched the rainbow pin through her jacket and wondered when she'd become someone who cried happy tears too. When success had stopped being about numbers and started being about a little girl's smile. When home had stopped being a penthouse and started being wherever Marcus and Emma were. That evening, her apartment smelled like pizza and felt like joy. Emma had made a banner that said "Congrats on the Heart Hospital" in glitter that would probably never come out of the carpet. She wore a plastic tiara and had insisted Sophia wear one too. "To the best CEO in the world," Emma announced, raising her juice box. "To the best architect in the world," Sophia countered, catching Marcus's eye. "To the best kid in the world," Marcus added, ruffling Emma's hair. They clinked juice boxes and pizza slices, and Sophia let Emma regale her with every detail of her day. How she'd told her whole class about the hospital. How her teacher said she could do a show and tell about it. How Billy Prentice didn't believe her until she showed him Sophia's business card, which she apparently carried everywhere. "You carry my business card?" Sophia asked, oddly touched. "Of course," Emma said seriously. "In case of emergencies. Like if I get lost, they can call you. Or if someone needs a really good CEO. Or if I need to prove you're real because sometimes even I can't believe you're real." Marcus made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. "Em, we talked about this. Miss Sophia has her own life. But we're part of it now." Emma interrupted with the confidence of childhood. "Right, Miss Sophia? We're part of each other's lives forever now?" Forever. Such a big word from such a small person. Sophia looked at Marcus, seeking guidance, but his eyes were as full of questions as her own. "I hope so," she said finally. "If you'll have me." Emma beamed and launched into another story, but Sophia caught the way Marcus looked at her, like she'd just promised something bigger than a hospital, bigger than a surgery, bigger than either of them had intended when this started. Later, after Emma had fallen asleep on the couch, pizza sauce still on her cheek, Marcus and Sophia stood on the balcony. The city glittered below, and the air between them hummed with unspoken truths. "She's getting worse," Marcus said quietly. "The doctor said we can't wait much longer for the surgery. 6 weeks at the outside. The funds will be in place by then. Your first paycheck as lead architect will more than cover." "Stop." Marcus turned to face her. "Stop talking about this like it's a business transaction. You told my daughter you love her today." "She told me first," Sophia said weakly. "That's not the point, and you know it." He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "What are we doing, Sophia? What happens after the surgery? After the hospital's built? Do we just stop?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I've been trying not to think about after." "Well, I can't stop thinking about it," Marcus said. "Because Emma's already planning our future. Did you know she asked me if you could be her mom for career day? Said she wanted to show off her 2 parents, the architect and the CEO. Sophia's heart clenched. "What did you tell her?" I changed the subject. "But she's 7, not stupid. She knows something's happening between us." "Is something happening between us?" Sophia asked, even though they both knew the answer. Marcus stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his gray eyes. "You tell me. You wear her artwork to board meetings. You lie to your colleagues for us. You've turned your whole life upside down for 3 weeks of knowing us. Is something happening?" Marcus. But she didn't know how to finish. How to explain that he and Emma had become essential to her existence. That her penthouse only felt like home when they were in it. That she'd risk everything. Her company, her reputation, her carefully constructed life, to keep them safe. "After," he said finally, stepping back. "We'll deal with this after Emma's surgery. When she's safe. When we can think clearly. After, Sophia agreed, though they both knew they were just delaying the inevitable. They went back inside to find Emma awake, watching them through the balcony doors. "Were you kissing?" she asked hopefully. "No," they said in unison too quickly. Emma sighed dramatically. "Mrs. Rodriguez says you two are worse than the people in her telenovelas. All the feelings but none of the kissing." "Emma." Marcus's face turned red. "What? It's true. She says you look at each other like her." Roberto looked at her before he finally proposed. Except Roberto was faster. Sophia couldn't help but laugh. "How long did Roberto take?" 2 weeks, Emma said proudly. "Mrs. Rodriguez says you've been looking at each other for 3 weeks now, so you're behind schedule." "Time for bed," Marcus said firmly, scooping up his daughter. "Say goodnight to Miss Sophia." "Good night, Miss Sophia," Emma said obediently. Then added in a stage whisper, "Maybe tomorrow you'll catch up to Roberto." After they left, Sophia stood in her too-quiet apartment, Emma's pizza box tiara still on her head. She caught her reflection in the window and barely recognized herself. When had she become someone who wore glitter crowns and rainbow pins? When had she become someone who loved? Her phone buzzed. "Marcus. I'm sorry about Emma. We'll talk to her about boundaries." She typed back, "Don't. She's perfect exactly as she is." A pause, then, "So are you." Sophia stared at the words, knowing they were crossing lines again, knowing they should stop, knowing they wouldn't. 6 weeks, she typed. "Let's give Emma 6 weeks of normal, of family dinners and homework help and bedtime stories. After the surgery, we'll figure out what we are. 6 weeks of pretending. 6 weeks of not pretending," she corrected. 6 weeks of just being whatever this is without naming it. And after, Sophia thought of Emma's confidence that they were family now, of Marcus's eyes when he watched her with his daughter, of the way her heart expanded every time they walked through her door. "After, we stop lying to ourselves," she typed. "Deal," came the response. Then, a minute later, "Emma left her book at your place, the one about the brave rabbit. She'll want it for bedtime tomorrow." Sophia found the book on the coffee table, next to Emma's drawings and Marcus's architectural sketches. The story of a rabbit climbing a mountain for medicine, for hope, for love. She thought of her own mountain, the lies to her board, the surgery arrangements, the feelings she couldn't name. All of it for a little girl who'd looked at her with sea glass eyes and decided she was worth saving. "Tell her I'll keep it safe," she typed. "Tell her the brave rabbit is almost at the top of the mountain." "I'll tell her," Marcus replied. "Good night, Sophia." "Good night, Marcus." She went to bed with Emma's book on her nightstand and her rainbow pin on her dresser, surrounded by the beautiful chaos 2 people had brought into her orderly life. 6 weeks until the surgery. 6 weeks until after. 6 weeks to pretend she wasn't already in too deep to find her way back to who she'd been before. But as she drifted off to sleep, Sophia realized she didn't want to find her way back. She wanted to find her way forward, to whatever came after the mountain. After the surgery, after the pretending stopped and the truth began. The morning of Emma's surgery dawned clear and bright, mocking the terror in Sophia's chest. She'd been at the hospital since 4 a.m., long before the Thompson family was scheduled to arrive. The private waiting room she'd arranged, insisted on, really, was filled with toys and books that would go untouched, snacks that wouldn't be eaten, distractions that couldn't possibly distract from the magnitude of what was about to happen. "You're here early." Marcus's voice came from the doorway. She turned, taking in his exhausted face, the way he held Emma's hand like an anchor. The little girl was wearing her favorite dress, the purple one with butterflies that she'd worn to every important occasion in the 6 weeks since they'd met. "Where else would I be?" Sophia asked, kneeling to Emma's level. "How's my brave girl?" "Scared," Emma admitted with her characteristic honesty. "But also excited. After today, my heart won't be broken anymore." The simple phrasing gutted Sophia. She pulled Emma into a hug, careful of the hospital bracelet already circling her tiny wrist. "Your heart was never broken," she whispered, "just waiting for the doctors to make it even stronger. Like the brave rabbit, Emma said, referencing their favorite story. He had to climb the mountain to get stronger too. Exactly like that. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Emma Thompson, we're ready to start your pre-op. The next hour passed in a blur of forms and preparations. Sophia stayed close, holding Emma's hand during the IV insertion, distracting her with stories while they attached monitors. Marcus stood on Emma's other side, his face a mask of controlled terror. "Miss Sophia," Emma said, as they prepared to wheel her to surgery. "Will you be here when I wake up? Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Promise?" "I promise." Emma looked between Sophia and Marcus, her eyes wise beyond her years. "And after I'm better, we'll all still be together? Like a real family?" Sophia and Marcus exchanged a look over their daughter's head. Their daughter. When had she started thinking of Emma that way? "We'll always be family," Marcus said firmly, "no matter what." "Good," Emma said. "Satisfied? Because I have something to tell you, but I want to wait until after. It's a surprise." Before either adult could respond, the anesthesiologist appeared. "Time to go, princess. Ready for your magical sleep?" Emma nodded bravely, but her hands tightened on both of theirs. "I love you." "Daddy, I love you, Miss Sophia." "We love you too, baby," Marcus said, his voice cracking. "So much," Sophia added, not trusting herself to say more. They walked with her as far as they could, until the big doors marked "Surgical Staff Only" loomed before them. With final kisses and promises, they watched Emma disappear behind those doors, taking their hearts with her. The waiting room felt cavernous without Emma's presence. Marcus sank into a chair, his head in his hands. Sophia sat beside him, close enough to offer comfort, but not quite touching. 6 hours, he said, voice muffled. They said 6 hours minimum. Dr. Patterson is the best pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country, Sophia reminded him. Emma's in the best possible hands. I know, but... He looked up and his eyes were red-rimmed. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose her like I lost Sarah? You won't, Sophia said fiercely, finally taking his hand. Emma's strong. She's going to come through this and grow up to build bridges and break hearts and change the world. Marcus laughed wetly. You sound so sure. I am sure. That little girl is a force of nature. A broken heart never stood a chance against her. They settled into waiting, hands clasped between them like a lifeline. The first hour passed slowly. Sophia had Diana cancel all her meetings, had turned off her phone except for emergencies. Nothing mattered except the little girl behind those doors and the man beside her. Tell me how you met Sarah, she said eventually, needing to fill the silence. Marcus's face softened. College. She was studying elementary education. I was in engineering before I dropped out. She tutored me in English. I helped her with math. Classic story. When did you know you loved her? The first time she laughed at one of my jokes. Really laughed, not polite laughter. She had this way of throwing her whole self into joy. He paused. Emma has the same laugh. She does, Sophia agreed. It's infectious. Sarah would have liked you, Marcus said suddenly. She always said I needed someone who could challenge me, push me to be better than I thought I could be. The implications hung between them, unspoken but understood. Tell me about your grandmother, Marcus said after a while. The one who raised you. So Sophia did. She talked about the tiny apartment above the restaurant, the smell of ginger and soy sauce that meant home, the woman who'd worked 18-hour days to give Sophia a chance at more. She died just before I made my first million, Sophia said. All she wanted was to see me successful, and she missed it by months. She saw it, Marcus said firmly. Success isn't money, Sophia. It's the person you become trying to achieve something. She saw that. They talked through the second hour, then the third, sharing stories, fears, dreams they'd never voiced. It was as if the waiting room existed outside of time, a place where their careful boundaries meant nothing. By the fourth hour, Sophia had moved closer, their sides pressed together. Marcus had his arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into his strength. Whatever happens, he said quietly, I need you to know something. These past 6 weeks, you saved us. Not just financially, but in every way that matters. You gave Emma hope. You gave me... He stopped, struggling for words. Don't, Sophia whispered. Not yet. Tell me after. When she's safe. The 5th hour brought Dr. Patterson's assistant with an update. Everything's going well. We're in the final stages now. Maybe another hour. The relief was physical. Loosening muscles they hadn't realized were tensed. Sophia found herself crying, and Marcus pulled her closer, his own tears falling into her hair. She's going to be okay, he whispered, like a prayer. Our girl's going to be okay. Our girl. There it was, acknowledged at last. Whatever boundaries they'd tried to maintain, Emma had made them a family. The rest was just details. The 6th hour felt eternal. Then finally Dr. Patterson himself appeared, pulling off his surgical cap. The surgery was a complete success, he said, smiling at their obvious relief. Emma did beautifully, she's a fighter. When can we see her? Marcus asked. Already standing. She'll be in recovery for another hour, then we'll move her to the PICU. You can see her then, though she'll be sedated for several more hours. After he left, Marcus turned to Sophia and did what they'd both been avoiding for 6 weeks. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle or careful. It was desperate and relieved and full of everything they'd been holding back. After, he said when they broke apart. That's after enough, right? That's after enough, she agreed, and kissed him again. When they finally saw Emma in the PICU, she looked impossibly small among the machines and wires. But her color was good, her new heart beating strong and steady on the monitors. Hey, baby girl, Marcus whispered, taking her hand. You did it. You climbed the whole mountain. Emma's eyes fluttered but didn't open. Still, Sophia could have sworn she saw a tiny smile. They took shifts through the night, one always by Emma's side. It was during Sophia's turn, in the quiet pre-dawn hours, that Emma finally woke. Miss Sophia? Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm here, sweetheart. Just like I promised. Emma's eyes focused with effort. Is Daddy here too? He's just getting coffee. He'll be right back. Good. Emma squeezed her hand weakly. I need to tell you both my surprise. Your surprise can wait until you're stronger. No, Emma insisted with as much force as she could muster. It's important. Marcus appeared in the doorway, coffee forgotten as he rushed to Emma's other side. Hey, princess, how do you feel? Fixed, Emma said simply. My heart feels fixed, but that's not the surprise. What's the surprise, baby? Marcus asked gently. Emma looked between them, her eyes serious despite the medication. I know why Miss Sophia looks sad sometimes. It's because she gave away something important a long time ago. Sophia's blood chilled. Emma, what? When I was little, before Daddy found me, I lived with another family for a while. They had papers about where I came from. Emma's words were slow, but deliberate. I wasn't supposed to see them, but I did. They said my first mommy couldn't keep me, but my second mommy, the one whose egg I came from, was very young and very smart and wanted to be a doctor. The room tilted. Sophia gripped the bed rail to stay upright. Emma, Marcus said, voice strange. What are you saying? The papers had a number, a donor number, and last week when Miss Sophia was on the phone with the insurance people, I heard them say numbers, the same numbers. Emma looked directly at Sophia. You're my egg mommy, aren't you? That's why we fit together so good. That's why you looked so sad when you first saw me. You recognized me. Sophia couldn't breathe. The donation. 8 years ago, desperate for tuition money, she'd gone through an agency. The eggs were supposed to be anonymous, the children never known. But those eyes, that immediate connection, the way Emma had looked at her that first night and seen straight through to her soul. Oh my God, she whispered. Sophia? Marcus's voice came from very far away. Is it true? She nodded, unable to speak. The dates lined up. The age was right. And somewhere deep in her bones, she'd known. From that first moment in the cafe, some part of her had recognized Emma as hers. I wanted to tell you the right way, Emma continued, seemingly unperturbed by the bomb she'd just dropped. But I was scared you'd be mad that I snooped. And then I thought maybe after my surgery, when I was all better, it would be like a happy ending, like in the stories. Emma, Sophia managed, tears streaming down her face. I'm not mad. I could never be mad. How long have you known? Since the second week. When you were helping me with my family tree homework and you talked about being Korean and Irish. Just like me. Emma smiled weakly. Plus, we have the same nose. Marcus made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. All this time, Sophia, all this time, she was yours too. Not just mine, Sophia said, reaching for his hand. Ours. However we started, whatever brought us together, she's ours. Emma's smile widened. So now can you kiss and be like a real family? Because Mrs. Rodriguez has been waiting for weeks and she says her blood pressure can't take much more suspense. Despite everything, the shock, the revelation, the overwhelming impossibility of it all, both adults laughed. You know what, Marcus said, looking at Sophia with eyes full of wonder. I think Mrs. Rodriguez is right. He kissed Sophia then, right there in the PICU, while their daughter in every way that mattered, clapped weakly but enthusiastically. Finally, Emma sighed happily. Now when I go back to school, I can tell everyone I have two parents who love each other and a heart that works right. Billy Prentice is going to be so jealous. Sleep now, baby, Marcus said, smoothing her hair. You've had enough excitement for one day. Okay, Emma agreed, already drifting. But when I wake up, we should start planning the wedding. Mrs. Rodriguez has ideas. She fell asleep between them, her repaired heart beating steady and strong. While her parents, because that's what they were now, had always been, would always be, sat in stunned silence. It's impossible, Sophia finally said. The odds of this happening. About as impossible as a CEO eating birthday cake alone in a cafe where a desperate father brings his dying daughter in from the rain, Marcus replied. Face it, Sophia. Our whole story has been impossible from the start. He was right. Every piece of it defied probability. The meeting, the connection, the way Emma had immediately claimed Sophia as family. Even the hospital, Marcus's dream made real by a woman he'd barely known. All of it impossible, and all of it true. What do we do now? Sophia asked. Now? Marcus lifted their joined hands and kissed her knuckles. Now we be what Emma's always known we were, a family. The rest we'll figure out as we go. I love you, Sophia said, the words escaping before she could stop them. Both of you, I love you so much it terrifies me. Good, Marcus replied. Because we love you too. Have from the beginning, I think. We were just waiting for you to catch up. They stayed there through the night and into the morning, watching their daughter heal. The nurses brought them coffee and knowing smiles. Dr. Patterson pronounced himself thrilled with Emma's progress. The sun rose over the city, painting the hospital room in shades of gold and possibility. And in room 4021 of the pediatric ICU, a little girl with a repaired heart slept peacefully between her parents, while the impossible, improbable, perfect truth of their family settled around them like a blessing. Later there would be logistics to sort out, DNA tests to confirm what they already knew, adoption papers to make Marcus officially Emma's father-in-law as well as love, a wedding to plan if Mrs. Rodriguez had her way. There would be questions from the board about Sophia's sudden relationship with her architect, explanations owed and gossip to weather. But right now, in this moment, none of that mattered. What mattered was Emma's steady breathing, the strength of Marcus's hand in hers, the miracle of finding everything she'd never known she was looking for in a rain-soaked cafe on her 27th birthday. Thank you, she whispered to the universe, to fate, to whatever force had orchestrated this impossible convergence of lives. Emma stirred, mumbling something about rainbow bridges and cloud houses. Marcus adjusted her blanket with infinite tenderness. Outside, the city woke to a new day, unaware that in one small room, The world had been remade by love. Sophia thought of her grandmother, who'd always said the best recipes came from mixing unexpected ingredients. She thought of Sarah, who'd given Marcus and Emma love to last a lifetime, then sent them forward to find more. She thought of the young woman she'd been 8 years ago, donating eggs for tuition money, never dreaming one of them would become the child who'd save her life. All of it impossible. All of it perfect. All of it theirs. "Welcome to after," Marcus murmured, and Sophia smiled, knowing that after was really just the beginning.